There were almost 400 emperors in Chinese history. 25 of them used to live in the Forbidden City. From a newborn baby to a sick old man, each left their traces and stories in their palace. But the one that interests me the most is the last emperor. Today I talk about his life while walking in his home. In 1908, the sick man of Europe, the Ottoman Empire, had its last moment. On the other side of the planet, the sick man of Asia, the Qing dynasty. After scarred by foreign invasion and internal chaos, the dynasty was shocked with more bad news. The young emperor died without a hair. With no time to waste, a 2-year-old boy was picked up as the next emperor. On his inauguration day, sitting on the dragon throne and watching so many adults doing all kinds of weird things, the boy was scared and couldn't stop crying. It will soon be over, his counselor tried to calm him down. 3 years later, it was over. The empire collapsed. The country was divided by warlords. Luckily, the last emperor was allowed to stay in his home, the Forbidden City. But this time, instead of forbidding his subjects to come in, the emperor was forbidden to go out of the palace. You would think that this was the end of the story, but the heaven never stopped playing with his son. 5 years later, a warlord loyal to the Qing dynasty occupied Beijing and restored the 7-year-old emperor. To the boy, it was no more than a mid-year spring festival. Everyone was smiling. Decorations were everywhere. People were busy preparing his second inauguration. Until 11 days later, the first bomb was dropped in the Forbidden City. The comedy came to a sudden end, and the loyalists got defeated badly, and everything went back to normal. Years passed. The young emperor realized that the palace was a giant prison for him. From his English teacher, Reginald Johnston, the young man got to know the outside world and had a hunger for his freedom. The emperor began to plot a perfect escape plan with his queen, and at the moment he thought he almost made it. It turned out to be another cat and mouse game. He was brought back to the big cage. He realized that so many eyes were watching, and that they needed him to stay in the prison for their own benefits. As the hopeless emperor accepted his destiny and prepared to spend the rest of his life with his predecessors, fate played another trick on him. After another military coup, the new warlord in power drove the last emperor out of his palace. He had his freedom at last, but not the one with honor. Outside the giant wall, everyone smiled at him, but thought of him as the biggest loser. He began to realize, as step-down emperor, humiliation was a big shadow of that palace. He would never walk out of it alive. The only way to do it was to walk back to the throne and make people bow to him again. He began to talk to different warlords, seeking help to put himself back to the palace he used to deeply hate. But nobody really wanted to help him. In 1931, the Japanese invaded China. In 1932, the desperated emperor accepted Japan's offer and started a puppet government for them. In 1945, the Japanese was defeated in World War II. The emperor was put to a prison as a war criminal. And in 1961, the emperor served his time at the prison and decided to visit his home again after almost half a century. By then, the Forbidden City had already become a museum. When he was asked to buy a ticket at the gate, he bursted into tears like the exact baby boy 53 years ago. Why should I pay to visit my own home? Think about it this way. His friend tried to comfort him. Everyone is paying this money to renovate your home. The emperor didn't have a chance to see the palace fully renovated. And that is the story for the last emperor of China. He was put onto the center of the stage with a huge background, but never got control of his own life, even for a minute. But I still believe everyone will leave their trace in history, just like the one I left.